Hi everyone. So the Labour Party is in a mess, right? Right now, it's in a mess. They've just had their worst result since before World War II. Honestly, if you actually look at the seats that they won, they've had the worst result just since before World War II in number of seats won. Now, because it's been such a debacle, and it really has been a debacle, there's no doubt about that. Although there are obviously extenuating circumstances before you get on my case and say, don't shout at Jeremy Corbyn. It obviously needs a person of incredible insight to figure out what went wrong here in the Labour Party, isn't it? Well, good news, because guess what? There's a guy who is up to the task, Ed Milliband. He's going to join the review of the Labour poll failure. This is from the BBC. Ex-Labour leader Ed Milliband will sit on a panel of party figures to review its general election failure. Labour Together, which describes itself as a network of activists from all traditions, is setting up a commission to, quote, map a route back to power. Map a route back to power. Here's one. Get rid of that fucking bastard. There's a route back to power. Fucking boot him out your party. Article continues. It says the panel will view attempts to pin the blame on a single cause, such as Brexit or Jeremy Corbyn's leadership, as simplistic and wrong. Absolutely. Simplistic and wrong. It wasn't just Brexit that caused it. It was obviously propaganda campaign involving the Orwellian Integrity Initiative and their clusters, and Jeremy Corbyn, who wouldn't stand up to a massive anti-Semitism smear when it was easy to stand up. Why wouldn't you stand up to an anti-Semitism smear like that? It's everything that you've ever wanted. It's giving you a chance to put the cause that you've been championing for 40 years front and centre, and that's Palestine. If somebody hits you with the anti-Semitism smear, you come back and say, no, this is because I'm pro-Palestine. They will back off because you're putting your thing there. But he didn't, did he? Obviously, that was a reason. And obviously him throwing his supporters, his most ardent supporters under the bus did not go down with the working class, especially people like me in the Midlands and North, and just saw it as weak. You know, what he did with Chris Williamson, not even standing up, not even saying anything, I thought was despicable. This article continues. Members, focus groups in heartlands and defeated candidates will get a say. Labour lost its fourth general election in a row on Thursday, 12th of December, recording its worst performance in terms of seats since 1935, as a string of constituencies in its traditional northern strongholds fell to the Conservatives. Just as I said, he was losing support in the North and Midlands at the beginning of the year, and continued to say it all year. If I know it, they know it. They don't need a review. Some MPs who lost their seat blame Mr Corbyn's unpopularity with voters. I wonder why that is. Is it because of a propaganda campaign? Mr Corbyn says Labour, quote, won the argument. Mate, if you win the argument, but you have your worst result since before World War II, perhaps you were arguing the wrong fucking thing. Perhaps it was the wrong fucking argument. Mr Corbyn says Labour won the argument, but blamed the media and the fact that the campaign was dominated by Brexit rather than Labour's plans to boost public spending. Yes, of course. It was the Conservatives' fault that Labour decided that the best course of action was to throw the working class overboard and do exactly what the working class didn't want them to do. But internal opponents for Mr Corbyn say the party must ditch his left-wing policy agenda to stand any chance of regaining power. And you know where this article from the BBC is going here, because I teed it up at the very end. You can see where it's going, can't you? You can see what the BBC are starting to suggest is the way forward for the Labour Party. Yes, Labour last won a general election in 2005 under the leadership of former Prime Minister Tony Blair. Mr. Blair said last week that, quote, the takeover of the Labour Party by the far left had, quote, turned it into a glorified protest movement with the cult trimmings utterly incapable of being a credible government. There you go, the BBC telling you, listen to Tony Blair, he won. He won 3 elections. Listen to Tony Blair. Mark Blythe was right, you know. Mark Blythe was right. Jeremy Corbyn was crisis management for a dying Labour Party, because I don't see any signs of life in that dead donkey. Do you?